Hey there, and welcome to this very special episode of the Home Tech Podcast. Jason Griffin here, and joined, as always, by my partner, Seth Johnson. Seth, how's it going?
Good, man. They let you back into the country. You weren't affected by the travel ban.
They did. I made it back. I made it back in one piece, and I had a really, really great time out there, as we talked about on our episode last week. It is quite the show. I would really encourage anybody who may be sitting on the fence about attending ISE one of these years to just go for it. I thought it was a really great experience in a very cool city. Lots of stuff to do there, obviously, and just sort of seeing all the commercial technology and everything all in one place may not be as relevant to home technology professionals, but you still see some interesting things there that you just don't get to see at a show like CEDIA. Not to mention, of course, the European manufacturers and stories that come out of ISE. So really, all around, a really fun show.
Well, you seem like you were pretty busy bee, and there's actually evidence of it because we have a ton of recordings to go through.
Yeah, covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we've got about 2 hours worth of recordings that you did, which is pretty awesome. But we're not going to cover all of them in tonight's show. We're going to have kind of the top ones that we're going to cover, and then we'll do a bonus episode. Basically, that'll come out maybe Monday, sometime over the weekend after I get done editing it, and we'll hit the go button on that, and it'll be just kind of a simple episode with back-to-back recordings of the interviews you were able to do on the show floor. So good job, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, they're all great interviews, and I really enjoyed my conversations with everybody I spoke with. But if we tried to put them all into one episode here, it would be probably north of 2 hours, and that's quite a bit of time to squeeze into one podcast. So we picked some of our favorites for various reasons here, and we're gonna roll those into this episode. And like you said, sometime probably middle of next week, we'll roll out a bonus episode that'll have some of those additional ones, and then in the week following we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming, so to speak. So we've got a ton of ground to cover here. Let's go ahead and get started, and we're just gonna lay this show out with all of these sound bites, and we'll come back from each one of those sound bites and maybe add just one or two thoughts of our own. But we're gonna kind of move through these quick, and we do want to start at the very top, even before we jump into them. Just thanking we had three sponsors for the trip: Krika, Zapiti, and Z-Wave, and we're gonna start with those, and we want to again extend a huge thank you to all three of those organizations for making the trip possible. We really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first clip of the show, which is my conversation with Bruno from Krika. All right, I'm here at the Krika booth with Bruno. Bruno, how's it going?
It's going very well. We're very happy to be at this ISE. It's been very busy, fun show. We've been lucky to be able to have a booth in the hall number 1.
Yeah.
We're just in front of the Lutron booth. That drives us a lot of people in front of the Optoma. And would like to thank also Russound for sharing their booth with us.
Yeah, you guys have a great location here, and
yes.
We're going to chat about what you guys are doing. But before we jump into that, just want to thank you one more time on air for being a platinum sponsor of our trip over here. We really appreciate the help with that. So thank you again.
Okay, it's been a pleasure to have you also here.
I appreciate it. So let's dive in. We've got a lot to cover.
Yep.
I know you and I had a good conversation at CEDIA recently.
Yep.
And I got a chance to learn a little more about what you're doing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you guys have some new things going on since then, and one of those new things is this new dashboard that we're actually standing here looking at. And so just talk about you guys' approach to the dashboard. I know you kind of look at it, the data presentation, a little bit differently than maybe some of your competitors, and talk about that and tell us why.
Okay. Custom installer always ask us to have a dashboard with less information and a dashboard that will be easy to understand.
Right.
And I tell them handling the network is like handling a war. You are a general and you need information. And
right.
You need a high view of the map with the maximum information. Also, you cannot play your chess.
Right.
And if we make it too simple, and if you have to scroll for 10 meters of screen to see everything,
yep.
You lose the point. So we have a new compact dashboard that will show you obviously a lot of information, but the information that will let you understand in one blink of an eye exactly what's happening. So we're still sorry if there is a lot of information, but it's information that you need.
Yeah.
You need that high view of the map.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I think that important to note, it is easy to look at and structured in a way that once you look at it a few times, you'll get used to it.
Yes.
But yeah, I can clearly see by looking at it that it is an approach to really making that information condensed.
Yep.
And just getting as much information in front of you as possible, which I think for this sort of application, to me, it makes a lot of sense. So
yes, if your information are too dispersed.
Yeah, dispersed.
You miss the war.
Yeah,
you miss the war.
Gotcha. Well, one of the other new recent announcements, and this was really news just before ISE, is your new partnership with Niveo. And I know you're very excited about that, so talk about it.
Yes, so Niveo came to us because they were looking for a way to supervise their product.
Yep.
I think that we will work together this year to embed our technology into their router. But for now, we're going to start to bundle our Krika Mini with their router and big switches. So it will be a special version of the Krika Mini that will be able to supervise only the Niveo products. And if the custom installer of the system integrator wants, he can go into our website and unlock the full feature license of Krika.
Yep.
So it's a good way for us to spread a lot of Krika on the market.
Yeah, sure. So new hardware here. I know you guys are showing it. And another thing that you seem excited about, the on-premise server.
Yep.
And this is, I think, a pretty unique offering in the remote systems management, remote supervision space. And so talk about what that is, give us the overview, and why you guys chose to put the resources into developing something like that.
Okay, the challenge is a lot of professionals tells us that their client will not allow any supervision device to scan the network and send the data somewhere on the cloud.
Sure.
Okay, so for security reason, a lot of installation, a lot of jobs does not have supervision just because it's not allowed inside. So that was the big challenge. So we said, if you're a big system integrator, you can own your own Krika cloud server into your office. And you just run some VPN between your customers, your jobs, and your office.
Right.
You put some special Krika in your job, and the Krika will send the data to your own server into your office. So maybe your customer will not trust us, but they will trust you.
Right.
And it's more acceptable for your customer, because I know that a lot of system integrator, they already have some VPN between their office and the customer's place.
Sure.
They just don't want the data to go on the cloud. So you will own your own server, so the security will not be compromised.
Right. I think it's smart, and I know that just from my interactions with some of our listeners, I know we have one, for instance, in Canada.
Yep.
And I know in Canada there are very specific laws about what you can do with your customers' data in terms of not sending that out of the country.
Yes, but everywhere in the world, actually.
Right. So that's just just one example, but just to illustrate different countries obviously approach that differently. And so I think that's a nice offering to give people that ability, like you said, particularly as a large integrator.
Yes.
If you want a little bit more control over where that data is going, that's obviously
yes, and the price is absolutely not the same, so it's worth it if you're a big system integrator.
Sure. So let's talk about some of the specific devices that you guys are doing some deeper integrations with. Obviously, monitoring a network it can mean a lot of different things, as simple as just pinging an IP address, but there are obviously far more sophisticated things that can be done. So talk about a couple of these devices here that you're highlighting your integrations with.
So first of all, I want to say that we do not monitor the network. We monitor the connected device on the network.
Good point.
And that's very important, because if you said network monitoring, people will think that we monitor what's going into the wire.
Yeah.
And this is not what we do. We monitor the connected devices on the network. This is a very important things to understand. Something that is new today is we worked with Integra, Onkyo, Denon, and Marantz. They send us some gears at the office so we can play with it. So we have a quite deep integration for those two brands. For example, if you set up the zone 2 of one of those amplifiers to be always on, because you put the pair of speakers in the kitchen, you can monitor the status of this zone 2. So if this zone 2 goes to off or mute, you'll get a notification, and you can remotely turn it on back or unmute it. So it's quite unique to be able to monitor the zone of every amplifier, AV receiver. Something that we already also develop is a special driver for the RTI platform. Sometime processor get frozen. So if you ping them on the network, they will still be here. So you can think that everything is okay, but actually the processor is locked, frozen. So we develop a special Krika driver for the RTI processor. You just install it inside, and the Krika device will just ask him if everything's okay.
Got it. Very cool. Well, one more question here, and kind of a high-level one for you. Obviously, remote supervision is a growing topic in the industry, and we saw a ton of that at CEDIA, and I think ISE here has been a continuation of that. Just talk about how important you see remote supervision as an integral part of our industry's future.
Wow. What I used to say is everything is connected. Okay, we jump to not connected device to connected device. A lot of people tell us that connected devices came with a lot of problem. But actually it came also with its own solution, because the only solution is to take the opportunity of this connected device. As they are connected, you can remotely track them and query the status. So remote supervision is the only way now to handle those big amount of connected device. You all have to stop to complain about the problem that connected device came with. There is a solution. They came with their own cure because they are connected. It's a big opportunity. You can query them. You can put them under monitoring, under surveillance. So remote supervision is going to be really soon the only way to handle your customer's place.
And actually, I lied. One more question. I want to make sure we touch on WEOS. That was I thought a very interesting story coming out of CEDIA, and a really cool initiative, I thought. So talk about how that's been going for you.
I think we have now 150 people who get involved into the WEOS program.
Good.
So we start to have a quite good database of people who want to help the other one. And each time that we talk about the WEOS to our visitor on the booth, they really smile. Because it's a really unique initiative. And each time that we think about WEOS, we try to think about how can we help people, how can we help home technologies with all the data that we have. And this was one of the answer that came to us.
Well, I love it. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with me, Bruno. And once again, thank you for your sponsorship of our trip over here. And I wish you the best of luck with what's left of the show.
Thank you very much, and have a safe trip back to Denver.
Appreciate it.
Very cool. So I didn't realize he had the on-premise server. That's really cool, especially for people who are very, very data or very privacy oriented, where you don't have this all reporting out to the web, and it's just a server that you put inside your own network and go with. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think it's a smart offering, and I think the couple times I was by the booth and overheard some conversations, there did seem to be a good deal of interest there. I think it's an offering that's maybe initially targeted at larger integrators, but I think there's an angle there for a lot of different people who may just be more concerned about privacy. And like we alluded to in the conversation there are countries where handling data in that manner is almost required. So I thought that was a pretty an interesting offering, and I really enjoyed spending some time and learning more about Krika while I was out there. But let's roll into our next one here. A second sponsor, company called Zapidi, and I got to say these guys had a really nice turnout at the booth the whole time. I won't talk too much about it here, but because we're going to roll into this whole clip, but a really kind of a neat media server offering, and they're doing some things that I thought were pretty unique. So let's go ahead and jump into that clip, and we'll come back with a few thoughts.
I am here at the Zapiti booth with Raphael. First, Raphael, I want to thank you again for your generous sponsorship.
My pleasure.
Of our trip over here. We really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Are you guys enjoying the show?
Yeah, so far it's been really great and expanding every year, and we are glad to be here once again in this show.
Yeah, it's great. Well, it looks like you guys have had a really healthy turnout at the booth consistently, and so congratulations for that. And I look forward to diving in here and talking about the product. So let's start with the hardware. We're standing here in front of 3 different media players.
Yes.
And let's start with the kind of the flagship one here, the Duo.
Yeah, the Duo.
Zapiti Duo. So tell me about that one.
Yeah, so we've got the new models just been out in January, and it's the Duo 4K HDR. This is the first player in the world that has 2 slots for hard drives. It can store up to 20 terabytes for now, but it's already is ready for 32 terabytes in the future when the hard drives are going to be out.
Yeah.
Available.
Yeah, so internal storage too. Want to emphasize that.
It's internal, and you can even add some external USB hard drive if you don't have enough space. But what is interesting with this model, it can use it as a server. It has a SMB server inside, and you can stream the actual internal content through 3 other players around your house. So you have a multi-room solution at a very affordable price.
Got it. And the price on that one was?
It's $400 US dollar retail
so very,
price.
very affordable price points. I actually was surprised.
Yes,
and I think
for the latest chip, from Realtek available, we can do 10 bits, 4K, 60p, all the things that we need, even the DTSX, the Dolby Atmos.
Sure.
About everything, it's already ready for the new UHD files, which begins to appear everywhere.
More and more. Yeah, so that's really cool. So that can actually act as a server out to some of these other units. And so speaking of those other units, the next one kind of down the line here is the One.
Is the One, yes. Actually, it's basically the same as the Duo, but it's only one hard drive, so you can have only 10 terabytes, which is already great, you know, and you can have 16 when those 16 terabytes hard drive will be available. So it can have the SMB server also, so you can stream from this one player to 3 other players around the house.
Cool.
So it's it's even more affordable than the other one because it's about $300 US retail price, and they have exactly the same capabilities of whereas the Duo,
And one other thing, kind of small and ish feature, not really related directly to it being a media server, but the fact that these both can act as Wi-Fi access points, I thought was kind of neat.
Yes, those 2 models are actually Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz access points.
Yeah.
It's a plus.
Yeah, that's something that installers will appreciate.
Yes,
definitely.
It can help.
From there, you go down to the Mini. Which I understand is only about $50 less than the One, and so really maybe the draw of this one is it's a very small form factor.
Yes, and it will be really the best companion, for integrators with clients who have already a NAS around the house, or Zapiti NAS. We'll talk about it later, but it's a really compact model with all the same performance as the other 2 big brothers. And it can do everything in a smaller space, and you can even hide it behind a TV. There is something to hang it behind.
Wall mountable.
Yes. Yeah. And every player can be naturally controlled by third-party controllers like Control4, RTI, Pro Control, Crestron, and we even have our own app to control all the players. We'll talk about it later.
And so this one really is designed primarily to stream from like an external server. Could either be one of these other 2 players or the other drive, which we're going to talk about.
Drives not only ours, but Synology or QNAP, whatever NAS you have at home, it will be compatible, and you will have marvelous results.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned 4K HDR, obviously very important. I also see here you guys are featuring Dolby Atmos and DTS:X. Tell us about that.
Yes, we're happy about it. It was not easy because at first the codecs weren't supported by this chip.
Yep.
But we made some hard work with Realtek, and we had the great news that it was really compatible. And I have already myself installed many on my Atmos home cinemas that I made over the years, and it works perfectly great. Yes.
Great. So let's jump over to the user interface. It's gorgeous. You guys did a great job with this.
Thank you.
I think I'll post some pictures up, and it like I said, is very nice. I think one of the cool things that you were mentioning to me that I liked is how you can sort of customize it in a lot of different ways. So maybe give a couple examples of that.
Yes, that's because there are lots of media players around in the market. Maybe one as good as ours, but the real plus of Zappity is we furnished a nice graphical interface, and you can customize it the way you want. You can have 2 lines of movies, 3 lines, 4 lines, even the movie wall presentation, a bit like Kaleidoscope. Mm-hmm. And we have several themes also. We've got the gray themes, which is more modern, and we've got the red one, which is like home cinema mood. You can choose the theme that you prefer. And what is cool about our interface, you don't need any computer at all. You can do every settings only with the remote.
Right.
We've got a menu button which you can do everything that you need for the interface. And you can change the cover arts. About that, it's easy. You will have access to all the image of the cover arts available on the market instantaneously.
Yeah. So as we're talking here, you're pulling them up, and it's bringing different versions of the cover art, including different languages.
Yes.
I also noticed you have one up in the top left corner here as we're looking at it that has the Zappity logo around it, and explain that.
We design our own cover arts now it's designed especially for the highest quality available and the cleanest cover arts available. So we're making 100 a week, so we have actually more than 3,000 available.
Wow.
And it keeps growing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
100 a week. Somebody's busy.
Yes. Yeah. Don't tell me about it.
One of the other things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's okay. So we've got the edit function where you can edit the name of the actors. You can edit also the technical information. Sometimes it may be wrong, for the format, the aspect ratio. So we give you the opportunity to correct and to have the proper ratio information. We get all the logos, the DTS:X, the Dolby Atmos, the Dolby Digital, so you can have a nice, clean information about the movie you're about to watch.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you launch a movie, of course, it goes directly to the movie. You don't have the trailers. You don't have the waiting time period, the Java loading, etc. It's really quick.
Right.
Okay. But you don't lose anything. It's you have got the same image as the major Blu-ray drives available today.
One of the other things you showed me that I thought was kind of neat as a parent of young children myself, who are not yet starting to watch a ton of movies, but certainly will be soon.
Yeah.
You've got parental control features on here. Talk just a little bit about that.
Yes. It's not automatic because it's difficult to know the choice of parents as concerned the films that are suitable for their children. So you just have to do that manually. You just pick and you tell our interface which films are suitable for your children. When it is done, it will ask you to put a secret password, which is composed of 5-digit numbers.
Okay.
And every time that you are going to turn on the players, it will ask you for the code. If the code isn't right or if the kids doesn't put it, only the movies for the kids will appear on the screen.
Got it.
So you don't have to worry about your horror, sci-fi movies or whatever TV shows which are not suitable for them.
Yep.
Okay. So
all right. Well, yeah. Let's move over here to the Zapiti NAS drive. Actually, you know what? We did want to talk about the iPad app first, since we're talking about user interface. Obviously, the app is an integral part, and so talk about that.
It's brand new. It will be released for everyone next week, and but we already got here in ISE, and this is the iPad control. It's already available with the Android market, so it will be available both with Android and iOS. And basically, it's the same interface as you can see in our players on your TV, but you can choose your movies directly on the iPad because it's easier. People love to find what film they want to see. It's even easier than a remote, And when you press your movies, you will touch the movies and you will go directly to displayed on your TV, on your projector, and you can even control it with the virtual remote that we implemented it.
Very nice. Very nice.
And you can edit everything on the iPad as well. If you want to change the cover art, you can do like the player would do.
Great. Well, yeah, finishing up here, you've got the Zapiti NAS. This is obviously the big sort of brains behind maybe some of the larger installs that you guys are doing. And so just give me the quick overview of that, including the cost.
We've got here the Zapiti NAS strip. Actually, we've got two models. One that allows 3 other clients for the streaming, which costs about $800. And we've got the big model with an i5 processor in it. We can stream up to 16 zones and 8 zones with Blu-ray quality. Okay, so that's kind of enough for most of the custom installation. And it's all automatic. You have no configuration at all. You put your CDs, your DVDs, your Blu-rays, and it will rip automatically with the internal drive that we provide inside. You can even add 3 more external Blu-ray drives so that you can rip 4x4, which is easier when you have a large collection of movies. And we are really thinking of proposed a robot, to rip 100 DVDs or Blu-rays at the same time. So that would be cool for people who've got
very handy. Certainly. So last question here. This all looks great. I know a lot of our listeners are in the U.S. and are very familiar with Kaleidoscape and some of the legal issues that they've had. Just talk about that from the perspective of being outside of the States. Is this even an issue in other parts of the world?
No, unfortunately, I've been privileged to walk around the world, to show this product, and at least in Europe and in the Asia, etc., there's no legal issue with backing up your own private copy. We are aware of the problem with Kaleidoscape. I talked to them about them, and it's a really complicated matter. And but it's really a U.S. legal problem. For all the rest of the world, we ship our Zapiti NAS strip everywhere, and we have no problem.
But I understand you guys are looking. You're in the U.S. market at least a little bit now, and you're looking. I would assume to
at a way
expand that, or
and to maybe find a way to find a solution to give you the opportunity to have the Zapiti NAS.
Well, I hope you guys can work that out. I think it's a great product, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And once again, thank you for sponsoring our visit here to ISE.
It was our pleasure.
All right. Thanks, Raphael.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Very cool. I was listening to it, and I'm like, I haven't never really heard of Zapiti. And I go to their website, and I'm looking like where to buy, and it says, in the States or whatever. And then of course you brought it up at the end. That like makes sense. Like they have the Blu-ray rip right on it, so it's not going to be something we can have here. We don't get any fun toys like this.
Yeah. I have to say I was very impressed. It was one of the first questions I asked him off the air when I was learning about the product is, well, what about the legal issues? Kaleidoscape's been down this road before, and he was very quick to point out that is exclusively an issue here in the States, unfortunately. So good for them, bad for us. Thought it was a very cool product, really nice price points. Very compelling. I really enjoyed learning more about them and seeing the product.
Yeah, here in the States, you kind of have to do it yourself. Really, is really the only way to maybe figure out how to, if somebody was going to do that, they would have to figure out how to do it themselves. And find a copy of a movie
nudge,
that
nudge, wink, wink.
fell off the back of a truck or something.
They're very, very conscious of it, and I think they've got. If anyone is listening in the States and is interested in using the product, I would encourage you to reach out to them, because my understanding is they'll find a way to make it work. So go check them out. Last clip we want to jump into here from our sponsors. Our third sponsor of the trip is the Z-Wave Alliance, which obviously goes without any introduction. Everybody listening to the show surely knows who Z-Wave is and what they're about. So let's go ahead and jump right into that clip.
All right, I'm joined here by Mitch from the Z-Wave Alliance. Mitch, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's glad to be here, Jason.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking a minute to chat with me. I understand you just came from giving a presentation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I did a CEDIA talk where I talked about home control in 2020. This is a joke. It's not 2020 hindsight. It's what home control will be like in the year 2020 and what integrators should be aware of.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure that was an interesting talk, and where Z-Wave fits into that picture is something that we'll get into. But first I want to talk about sort of Z-Wave as a technology from a very high level. And there's I think widely a perception of DIY as almost strictly a do-it-yourself, as Z-Wave as a do-it-yourself technology. But you guys have increasingly been, I think, making moves to change that and get maybe a little bit more involved. I don't know if that's a fair way to say it, with the installer community, with your certified toolkit and things like that. So just talk about where Z-Wave fits in, consumer versus the professional install channel.
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, the technology was developed and it was never an intent whether it would be do-it-yourself, professionally installed. But early on, as it was developed, it was picked up and introduced by a number of companies that were really trying to put it through the retail channels, ultimately to try and do it yourself. As all your listeners obviously know, there's no such thing as an easy do-it-yourself when it comes to technology.
Right.
And the platform really got picked up by the security companies and the service providers. So you had security companies like ADT, or service providers like Verizon, or here in Europe with Deutsche Telekom and Orange, where they found that because the technology is relatively easy to deploy, that the mandate is for interoperability. We can get into all these details a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's not brand specific really made it a very wise choice for service providers. So that's been going on for quite some time.
Right.
As far as the integrator community, we've been a well-kept secret, put it that way, because the integrator side has really gone down the road of proprietary control systems for many years. Rightly so. There's not criticizing it, but that's been the direction they've gone. But recently, within the last year or two, those proprietary control systems have recognized that opening up their controls to an ecosystem of products makes a whole lot of sense. So we've seen companies like Universally Remote Control, URC, RTI, Claire Controls, and even just at CEDIA Expo this past fall, Control 4 announced that they're adopting Z-Wave into their platforms.
That's right. That's right. And so as part of this, you guys have the sort of recently announced certified toolkit. I believe you mentioned to me that's going into beta.
That's right.
This week, I believe, as we're standing here recording this. So give us an update on that and give us the overview of what it is.
Right, Jason. So to deploy a Z-Wave network doesn't require extensive amount of knowledge, but there are some pretty good FAQs that installers should understand. So we started off just putting together basically a 90-minute what you need to know training session, which honestly, if you go through the 90 minutes of it, you can deploy a system, an ecosystem very, very effectively.
Sure.
The challenge beyond that is how does one check that system and make sure, do diagnostics. Because it's a wireless network, you can't just stick your finger in the air and go, let me see, am I able to reach my door lock? But, there are some challenges. You got to make sure this is all right. So anyway, long story is, and short of it is, that we developed a tool called the Certified Installer Toolkit, which essentially is designed to be able to include into a customer system, and you can do all types of diagnostics to determine the health of the system before you leave the project, so that you can then take the product with you, or you can actually leave it behind to do long-term diagnostics as well. And that's going into beta testing this week, so we expect to be delivering it by mid to late March.
Okay, great. So you alluded to it a couple of times there earlier, and one of the big things about Z-Wave as a selling point is the interoperability. And so this is more than just like a way to communicate. It actually goes much deeper than that, as I understand it,
Yes.
in terms of different devices from different manufacturers having, the same classes and that sort of thing. So give us an overview, of what that is all about and why it's important.
So there are a couple of mandates that we have for the platform. One of them is this concept of interoperability, whereby we don't enable any manufacturer that deploys the Z-Wave technology to go into proprietary network, which you can do with a Zigbee, for example. You can have Zigbee products that do not work together.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the odds are better that they won't than they will.
Right.
One of the mandates we had was when you deploy Z-Wave into your door lock, into your lighting control, into your security panel, the sensor, so on and so forth, that there is a required amount of code that will enable you to be interoperable with any other brand. So what does that mean for me, the installer? It means that now I have an entire ecosystem of product to be able to choose from. Right now that ecosystem is over 1,700 products strong. And I'll give you one simple example of door locks.
Yep.
So there's no one door lock that solves everybody's problems or is appropriate for every door. You may want the Yale lock in the front and the quick set in the back, and it turns out that the Schlage is the best thing for the basement door. You put them all in and you know they're all going to work together in the same operating system because they have Z-Wave inside of them.
Right. Definitely power in that.
And there is a lot. And the same thing with lighting controls.
Yep.
And what I love about my job is the fact that as a manufacturer, you can create a really unique, very cool product. You don't have to develop an entire product line around it. So, for example, Leaderson has just announced an arrival sensor, which is a really cool product. They don't need to have an entire line of lighting controls to back that up,
right.
Because that occupancy sensor or that arrival sensor can actually trigger any Z-Wave lamp, any Z-Wave bulb, any Z-Wave lighting device.
Right.
So it fits right into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So as an integrator, you have choices. You have solution options.
Yep.
Things that will work for you.
That makes sense.
The second piece of interoperability is our mandate for backwards compatibility. This is not a minor point because as consumers are aware, technology becomes obsolete. When it comes to the smartphone, they know they're going to replace it in 18 months or in some cases 6 months. When it comes to a door lock or a dimmer in the wall or a thermostat, there's no way a consumer's going to want to replace that ever.
Very true.
Not just in a couple of years. So from day one, Z-Wave mandated backwards compatibility. If an integrator has a client with a Z-Wave product in the home, it will work with whatever new products they put in.
Very good. Very good. Well, you talked about door locks there, and
Yes.
that's a nice segue into security. And I know that is a big topic in the IoT space and just in the smart home in general right now. A ton of conversations going on about cybersecurity and protecting the
Yes.
network and all of that. Very, very important topic we talk about a lot on the podcast. So I'd love to hear Z-Wave's stance on security and what makes you uniquely positioned in that regard.
It's a great question. Security is something every integrator should be very sensitive to, aware of, and make sure that they prepared their customers for. And I'm not talking burglar alarm. Obviously, we're talking about cybersecurity. Z-Wave entry products or access control products such as door locks, garage door openers have always had what we call S0 security. It was mandated, and there has never been a proven case of a Z-Wave product being hacked, ever.
Yep.
You can do your Google search, you will not find one. However, that said, that level of security always came with some level of, I'll call it weight attached to it. So what we have done is we've come out with what we're calling S2 security, which is now part of the firmware. As of April 1st, all new products that are being certified will be required to have this S2 security, and all devices can have it, not just access control. So lighting devices, sensors, thermostats, basically anything.
Yep.
And what it does is it takes it up a notch. It provides a level of security over IP, a level of security over even as devices are being included into a system. Trying not to get too into the technology behind it, but the bottom line is that it's a no-brainer. This has taken, by the way, it's not something we just decided to do when we read a media article last year.
Yeah.
This has taken 4 years to develop.
Got it.
And I think what the dealers need to understand is that you can't just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to create a new security platform, and it just happened overnight.
Sure.
So we've been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's being deployed starting April.
Got it. Well, a lot of great points there. The Z-Wave booth here has been really busy, or stand, I guess, as they call it here at ISE.
They do, right?
The Z-Wave stand has
That's because it's exactly what we're doing. We stand the whole time.
Exactly. So last question here. I just want to talk, zooming out high level. Obviously, you guys have been at this for a very long time, but the smart home, as have integrators and most of our audience, but really the smart home, in terms of general consumer awareness, has really grown and exploded in the last couple of years. And with that, of course, we've got new standards and protocols, and these things are getting headlines. But where do you see Z-Wave fitting, again, tying this back full circle to your conversation about the smart home in 2020, and what is the Alliance going to do to continue to maintain your prominent stance and relevance in the market?
Well, again, it all comes down to an ecosystem. There is no other platform or standard that can claim the same type of ecosystem that Z-Wave has. And another thing we never really talked about is the frequency with which Z-Wave operates, which is sub-gigahertz, which is designed to work exceptionally well in the home with building materials. So if you're listening in Europe and you're building mostly with masonry and stonework, you're having all kinds of trouble with Wi-Fi because it's operating at 2.4 gig. Right. You're having all kinds of trouble with Zigbee because it just doesn't travel through building materials all that well, whereas sub-gig works great. So Z-Wave works fabulous in a home environment, and that's been one of the primary reasons why we've had so much success with the service providers and the security companies. In terms of moving this forward, because we've had such a great relationship with all the service providers worldwide, we've got 28 major service providers globally that have adopted Z-Wave, that they are helping to get the word out about this thing everyone's calling smart home, home control, whatever you want to call it. This is terrific news for all the integrators because it raises the awareness of things that can be done. So service provider X goes out and talks about how you can now monitor when your kids come home from school and make sure that they've been notified that the door lock's been unlocked. The integrator says, yeah, I do that. Yeah. They can now layer on top of that and add in entertainment on top, or they could start talking about adding HVAC or maybe another door lock or a door phone. There's all kinds of things. So this is really, really good news for the integrators.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I thank you again for taking the time and for your generous support of our trip here to ISE. We really appreciate it, and wish you the best of the luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you, Jason.
All right,
and,
thanks,
thank you for your help.
You got it.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad he talked about security and brought that up. He's right. I don't think Z-Wave itself has been hacked. There have been some implementations that have been hacked, but those probably got updated. And now they're doing that Z-Wave security thing, which is, like he was saying, from the ground up. They've been working on it for 4 years, and I think that's going to be huge for Z-Wave. I mean, getting in and using Z-Wave for security and home automation, that's a great foothold to have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's definitely a selling point for Z-Wave, and you and I have talked a lot over the years that we've been doing the show about different protocols and standards that seem to pop up and what that all means. I think that I'm a believer that I don't think there's ever going to be that one standard or protocol to rule them all. I think we've got room in the smart home for a lot of different technologies to operate and maintain a foothold there, and I think that Z-Wave is well positioned to be around for a very long time for a number of reasons, most of which we touched on in that interview. So I enjoyed being able to spend a little bit of time with Mitch and find out what the Alliance is up to, and want to thank again all three of our sponsors, Creek as a PD and the Z-Wave Alliance, for making our trip to ISE possible. So we've got a bunch more clips that we're going to move through here on the show. The rest of these are a little bit quicker, shorter clips, around 5 minutes. So we'll move through these a little bit faster than the previous three, and still a lot of ground to cover here, Seth. So let's just jump right in. here to our first clip, conversation with Crestron.
I am here at the Crestron booth with John Clancy. John, how's it going?
It's going great.
Good. Enjoying Amsterdam?
I'm exhausted, but it's good.
Yeah, I hear you there. Well, I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to chat with me. First thing I wanted to touch on, obviously a very big presence for Crestron here at ISE, including a ton of residential solutions. We missed you at CEDIA last year, and I know that was a huge story for a lot of different reasons, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on where Crestron is at in light of that.
So I think us departing the CEDIA show really had to do with the direction of where we saw the show heading and where we see our market going.
Yep.
I think there was a big presence the year prior from DIY products and things that kind of were aimed to bypass the membership, where our products are really intended to be installed professionally, programmed professionally, supported professionally, and our direction is really, really upstream and upmarket.
Yeah, and I think it kind of led some people to question Crestron's, frankly, commitment to residential, and there were conversations about that, but I know that you've really been brought on to Crestron to address that exact need and segment of the market. And so talk about what Crestron is doing in residential these days.
Well, I can even step back and say that even that decision about leaving the CEDIA show was kind of what prompted my employment here. It was my question back to the CEO regarding their commitment, or Crestron's commitment at that point, because I was a dealer for over 20 years.
Sure.
Of what Crestron's commitment to the residential space was, because I had put essentially all of my eggs into that basket.
Yep.
And he explained what I had just explained regarding the difference in direction. And so that's what kind of pushed me into my employment here. And really bringing dedicated focus to the residential channel has been my goal.
Yeah.
That hadn't really existed at Crestron before. Yes, they were always played in the residential space and almost considered pioneers in some aspects of the residential space. But my focus, or my being here, is really about that dedicated focus towards residential.
Right. Well, I think looking around the booth, it's pretty easy to see that Crestron is committed to residential. Quite a few solutions here. One of them I wanted to touch on that we talked about is kind of a new approach to software programming. So touch on that.
So I am a longtime Crestron programmer. I'm a gold certified master programmer. I think there are less than 50 of us on the planet.
Wow.
So I had programmed Crestron for a really long time. So I really understood what it took to get a system up and running and how complex that really is. And I thought that should be my first point of attack. So I put a lot of resources into Crestron Studio for Residential, which is a new re-released product specific for residential. So the idea is to simplify and deliver a working system in a very, very quick and easy way. Be able to teach it in a 2-day class and have that person, that student, come out of that 2-day class and on day 3 be capable of deploying a full-blown Crestron system that is supportable and expandable over time.
Yeah, well, I think that's great. I didn't realize that you had a background in programming, and I think that's a very valuable experience for somebody in your position.
This was why my first target was to go after that, because it had been a stumbling block. And honestly, one of the other features behind that is that we did not remove the ability to customize. Crestron's always been about customization. We never wanted to shoebox or sandbox our end users or our dealers. So although it does provide a complete and finished solution, you still have the ability to change and tweak.
Go in there and tweak if you want to. Got it. Well, a couple other solutions. I see you guys are pretty prominently displaying Sonos, and I think it's one of the things I thought is actually interesting and kind of cool is that your touch panels have an embedded version of, I guess, the Sonos software right inside of them. Talk about that.
So when Sonos released its API back in, I think it was October, we were one of their original launch partners for that. And it's great, but it was the first time Sonos had sanctioned a third-party integration of their systems. But it is somewhat, I won't say limiting, but it's restricted in the sense that you're only able to access the Sonos favorites list, which solves the need for, I guess, 80% of the use cases for most people. But if you wanted to search for an artist or an album or a track, you had to go someplace else. It means opening a mobile device, an iPhone or an iPad, and doing it that way. So we had talked to Sonos about embedding their app within our latest touchscreen, which just began to ship a few months ago.
Yeah, and you're showing that. That looks very good. Last thing I want to touch on, obviously a huge topic in the residential space is Echo and voice integration.
Yep.
Talk about what you guys are doing in that space.
So again, we play ball like everyone else does. We have our access to the standard smart home skills, kind of the way many of our competitors do, but we took it a significant step further with our custom skills. So it allows you to speak a lot more naturally. So some of the drawbacks to the smart home skills is that you're stuck having to speak in a strange way, like turn on the good night scene. No one really speaks that way. So what we wanted to do is try and bring a little more natural speech to that and provide the ability to express feelings. So I can say I'm cold or it's too dark and have the system respond accordingly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, John, I really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to chat with me. I'll let you get back to the floor here and enjoy the rest of the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John.
All right.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm glad he brought up a couple of things regarding Crestron and really having. I mean, his conversation with you really makes me feel a lot more comfortable than Crestron kind of hanging around in the super high end residential market. But what he said there about programming and making that easier for novices to get in and then set up and deploy a Crestron system, I think is very important and to the future of the product. I really do. It's what one of the things that has been not holding Crestron back, but I guess in a sense, yes, it has been holding Crestron back. You have to have a programmer on staff, a real programmer, someone who knows how to do code to really get in there and get stuff done. And that has been the case for a long time. And I'm glad to see them, pulling that back and abstracting the product out and making it a little bit easier to set up and get deployed. That's where they need to be competitive these days.
Yeah, I agree. In the residential, I think that's particularly important, and I totally agree with you there. And I got to say, Seth, I was thinking about you the whole time I was doing that interview and all the conversations we've had about Crestron, particularly after they pulled out of Cedia. I think John is very clearly committed to residential. He's a guy who's got a background in doing it, and really the passion for it was palpable when I was talking to him. And so I really came away from that conversation feeling pretty convinced about Crestron's commitment to staying in the residential space, and very, very large booth to no one's surprise, and was really cool to go check that out. But let's move right into our next clip here, staying in the control space. I had an opportunity to stop by the Savant booth and have a quick chat with them, this obviously being their first trade show since Bob Madonna's return, so I did take the opportunity to ask about that, but let's go ahead and roll into the clip. I'm here with Mark Perrins of Savant. Mark, how are you?
Yeah, well, thank you.
Good. Are you enjoying the show so far?
Fantastic. First day, and it's getting busy already.
Yeah, very busy floor and really exciting. A lot of energy in the air here, but just wanted to stop and chat with you about Savant. I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to talk with me. We were discussing, we've already kind of seen some of these products at Cedia in the States, and so I'm just curious to know, from a European angle, how is Savant doing in Europe? Are there particular challenges in the market, or has this been a very successful market for you? Just tell us about high level Savant's presence in the European market.
Yeah, sure. Europe provides us with its own issues and problems, a lot of cultural differences between each of the regions and the way people approach either doing things in a kind of more historic and customary way, or actually being more exciting and creative in how they develop their lives, their houses, of course, and the way they live. So it's really interesting with Savant as we expand into more and more European territories. Some of the larger ones kind of obvious, and some of the more holiday resorts, that makes a lot of sense. But some of the ones, smaller ones as well, where people are looking for something more in their homes. Yep. And Savant clearly just gives them the most intuitive and elegant solution to really understanding what automation is about. Not a whole collection of apps on your phone, and they're getting this now. Yeah. And not a big coffee table full of remote controls. I mean, that isn't automation either. So it's actually when a system can start to take over some of the thought process and do some of the thinking for you. Sure. And really, Savant does that in such an easy-to-use way. And at the end of the day, it's the people using the system that are important. It's not the way you think it needs to be configured or wired or whatever. It's meeting that customer expectation. And Savant does that particularly well.
Yep. And so I was chatting with a couple of the other gentlemen here before I grabbed you, and they were talking about the significance of the reskinning of True Control in the European market. And I understand that the newer Savant Pro 8 app, currently at least, doesn't do a lot with foreign languages, and so True Control has been really kind of the only option, as I understand it, for some people who need to program systems in foreign languages. And so having that new modern True Control reskin that we hear is coming, that should be a big deal in this market.
That is certainly a big deal. I mean, the Pro app is great. Pro 8 app is absolutely fantastic because it's they design it, they configure it, bang, it's in there and it works, and it's fantastic. Right. At its base level, True Control also works in a similar way, but as you say, yes, it's got access to character sets like the Cyrillic alphabet, which is huge. And if you're Russian speaking and you don't speak much British, then you'd like that programmed, or Greek, or any of the other local alphabets that are common to Europe. So certainly one aspect is getting a local language and understanding of the controls into the system. The other aspect, where there's a huge level of support for True Control, is that our integrators want to put their own stamp on something.
Right.
Where the Pro app becomes slightly generic in its appearance, yes, of course, you can tailor and customize the photos and the backdroppings. All the icons are preset, pre-designed. There's no real creative input from our integrators in that sense, but with True Control, they actually put their stamp, their mark on it, and they feel that adds value to the whole project and gives them an edge over some of their competition.
Yeah.
So actually coming back with an emphasis on the redevelopment, the reskinning of True Control is really important in Europe.
Yeah.
It's going to be so well accepted. I've already, at this short stage after the opening of the show, I've had a customer come around and tell me how happy he is that's going to happen.
Yeah, I was at the Savant Dealer Conference recently in Denver, Colorado, and that was exciting to see, something we're all, I think, as Savant dealers, generally very excited about. So last question, speaking of the Savant Dealer Conference, it's Bob Madonna's sort of triumphant return to Savant, and I think the dealer base is very excited about it. As a Savant employee, what do you think Bob Madonna's return means to the company?
It's great. I mean, you've got to get excited when the guy with the motivation and foresight to bring the company to the market is back driving it.
Yep.
It's a really exciting time. We've seen some very fast and immediate changes in the product lineup and conceptually where the product's going to evolve through the next year or so, and the drive and enthusiasm that he's bringing to everybody involved is it's been celebrated, no question.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking a minute to chat with me, and I'll let you get back to the show.
Pleasure.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, very cool. I'm going to have to update how I pronounce some of the names of these companies moving forward.
It sounds more sophisticated, right?
It absolutely does. Yeah. It's kind of want one of these systems now. Yeah, definitely. Very cool. Well, I'm glad that they. I didn't realize that Savant or whatever has had a international. I guess I should have realized, but I didn't realize they were international. So
yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, and it was a little. It was their stand. To me, was it was basically a repeat, essentially, of the CEDIA stand. A lot of the new technologies that they announced, new technologies and products that they announced at the dealer conference here a few weeks ago in Denver, were not being shown yet. Although I do believe they may have been showing their video over IP. I think I saw something about that, and so they were showing a few new things, but generally, it was a Pro Audio 4 and some of these other things that came out at CEDIA. So an interesting position for me to be in, I think, looking at the stand, having already seen things at the dealer conference, and I understand they were, I believe, getting ready to do a dealer conference in Europe very, very soon here. And so I'm sure the European installers will enjoy what they see at that. Like he alluded to there with Bob Madonna's return, is very tangible in terms of the shift in the company, like we talked about a few weeks ago. So be interesting to watch how that develops. But let's roll into the next clip here. This was one company that I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to take a look at. And I don't know if company is even an accurate term. This is KNX. I think maybe Alliance is more accurate, although I have to admit I'm not entirely sure. But I had a chance to chat with them and learn about what they're doing and what makes them so important. We hear a lot about KNX over here in the States, but I just never had an opportunity to really wrap my brain around it. So let's go ahead and jump into that clip. I've got David Thoreau here. David is the president of KNX International in the U.S. David, I appreciate you taking a minute to chat with me. How's the show treating you?
This is an incredible show. It's got everything in it for all the automation and integration.
It really does.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great show. So, anyways, let's jump right in. First of all, I wanted to stop by because, as we discussed, in the U.S., KNX doesn't have quite as big a penetration as it does over here in Europe. And so I just wanted to get a general feel for what KNX is all about. So give us kind of the elevator pitch. What sort of solutions are built on KNX? What makes it special?
KNX was a drive. KNX evolved out of a drive in Europe to break down borders and not have limitations to market. And as the technology evolved basically in the late 80s as a history lesson, they wanted to make sure that they had a platform that was neutral.
Yep.
And out of that neutral platform, we now have 400 manufacturers making products that can all sit on the same wire, and the requirement is they all have to be able to talk together.
Right.
And out of that, the competition became immense. You don't capture a job and hold your customer hostage with KNX. If you don't have exactly the right product, you can go find it. So as a manufacturer, they have to be more innovative, more creative, and you have much better products coming out, whether it's simple weather station doing shade control, a touch screen that's gorgeous, that does everything, because it all works together.
Yeah.
The reality is no single manufacturer can do everything. And with KNX, you can go find the guy who's really good at a certain part of it and mix it with the next guy. It creates a competitive platform that inspires innovation.
Yeah, and you guys have a good cross-section of that, I would say, here at the booth. A lot of different manufacturers exhibiting some of their products, and they all look really great. You touched on it briefly there. The first thing I think of when I think KNX is lighting control, but I know it does more than that, obviously. What are some of the other categories that KNX is popular with?
Correct. Shade control is one that's very popular because it's nice to have that all in the same wall station, the wall switch. Also, heating and air conditioning.
Yep.
There's interfaces to all of the air conditioning units. It works very well in a small to mid-sized commercial, and that really puts you into residential as well.
Sure.
So one is you can push a button, turn all the lights off, set back the air conditioning, make sure the garage door's closed, and the pool's not running when you leave.
Yep.
Because it's all on the same network, and you're running, most of the time it's a twisted pair of wires, and it's much easier to install along the way as well.
Got it. So 405 manufacturers on board is what the sign I'm looking at right here says, and that's quite a lot. And I think that speaks to a very well-established protocol. Clearly, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the importance of that. We hear so much about fragmentation in the smart home these days, and different protocols and standards sort of popping up left and right. How important do you think that wide adoption is, and do you see that staying relevant moving forward?
I think that it's just like the foundation of a house, the foundation of an industry. You need something that's going to be stable and be there. And the problem with the fragmentation is we've seen some companies disappear.
Yep.
And what do you do with your big house and you've got a lighting control system that's no longer supported by anybody? In this case, companies do come and go. That happens, but the standard stays.
Right.
And if you come further down the road and you need to replace something, that company may or may not have it. You can find somebody else who does. So it really creates stability in the marketplace. And the fragmentation has brought some disasters out there that are ripping out a system and putting in a new one because you had a proprietary system that's no longer available. That's a disaster. With KNX, you've really got a stable platform to build off of. Also, you go to remodel down the road. 10, 15 years down the road, you may not like that push-button switch as much as now there's touch glass. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff that snaps onto the same wire.
Yeah. So a lot of our listeners are based in the U.S., and they might be listening to this thinking it all sounds great, but we really haven't seen wide adoption anyways of KNX in the States. Why do you think that is?
The proprietary sources that are out there have been very dominant.
Yeah.
But they've also been some of the companies that have abandoned and orphaned products over time and said, well, tough, I can't, after 5 years I don't have to have parts, you need to replace it.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem for us. So
sure.
Absolutely. It's been a dominance very much, and even in the commercial side, and I've had universities and other people come and say they want an open protocol. KNX is a truly open, truly non-proprietary protocol, and that's where its power has been, and that's where the stability is in a long time. Once you've got that many companies invested in it, it's not going to disappear.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with me, and I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the show.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, very cool. I've known about KNX for a long time, and I kind of have the state's view of it, and it just seems like another protocol. But it was fascinating to see that. I guess what I like so much is the idea where if you have something break, like a motorized shade that's a KNX motorized shade, and you need to get it replaced, well, you can just pop a new motorized shade in. I mean,
exactly.
At least that's the idea. Yeah, that sounds like a really, really cool idea, especially here where we have lighting control, centralized lighting control companies going out of business and disappearing on us in the past couple of years. This seems like a pretty smart move, and I know it's kind of like the bones of the house. Like this is something that gets spec'd in by architects and builders.
Yeah. Yep. So there's definitely a lot of value there and a lot of selling points for them. Let's just go ahead here and jump right into our next clip. We still got a lot of ground to cover here, and this was a conversation with another large sort of European presence, HDL. Let's go ahead and get that one started.
All right, I have stopped by the HDL booth here to chat with Jack. Jack, I appreciate you taking a minute to chat with me. How's the show going for you?
Thanks, Jason. Actually, this is pretty good.
Good.
Because it's the 6th time for HDL to be here.
Oh, wow.
This show.
Great.
So, European market is one of the most important markets for us.
Yeah.
And we would like to create this kind of show as a community. It's a platform for our local partners.
Right.
We share the opinions, experience, and we also deliver the information from the head office to them.
Sure. So I'm familiar with HDL. I've heard of you guys, and I think most of our listeners surely have at least heard of you guys before, but being based in the U.S., maybe not as prevalent or maybe not as familiar with what exactly you guys do. So give us the quick version, company history, and what you guys are doing in the market now, what makes you guys unique.
Okay, basically we are the supplier and also manufacturer for home and building automation control system products. So it means everything covers in the home and in the building for lighting, heating, blinds, ventilation, also security monitoring systems. So we are the manufacturer for this kind of products. And the thing, what's the thing to make us unique? I think it's from the customer service, because we are working with global partners, and we have the international local training centers to feed up the people with the technology. And we will have 7 to 24 having the technical support.
Yeah. And they're great looking products. I was chatting with another gentleman here though, and he made it sound like you guys have very actually competitive price points. So tell me about that. How's your guys' pricing compare? Are you a high-end solution, or do you have some of that? You're also catering to a mid-market. What's kind of your target price points in market?
Our target actually, I would like to say, is in the middle.
Yeah.
Because our solution actually is flexible.
Okay.
So you can apply to the high-end projects.
Sure.
But also you can use some simple installation, because we have a wired solution, also wireless.
Yeah, it's scalable. And so speaking of wired and wireless solutions, you guys have a beautiful wall here of these glass touch keypads, and I've been tweeting about these things since I got here, and I just love them. I'm really big on physical control. I think users in the U.S. at least are sort of getting app fatigue. They're getting tired of digging for their phone all the time, and I think we're overdue in the U.S. for sort of a renaissance, a rebirth of the keypad or the touch panel. And so talk about just how important you guys see design, because a lot of these are really beautiful and very unique designs, and how important do you see that?
Yeah, from my understanding, the design, the touch and the feel is more important than technology.
Yeah.
Because for the normal people, they don't need to understand what's the technology in the back. They just need to care how to use it, how easy they use it. The feeling, the quality, the design, that's always comes the first.
Yeah, well, they're great. So last question for you. I alluded to it earlier. I think our U.S. listeners may have heard of HDL. You're, I think, a very prevalent brand in general, but some of our listeners may be wondering, why haven't we seen HDL penetrate into the U.S.? So talk about that.
We started our marketing in the European countries from 2006. from last year, we have made a plan to go into a U.S. market.
Okay.
So basically now we have a high expectation in the North American market, and we are dealing with the certification and export license, and we will go there. Definitely.
Okay, great. And you guys are going to be at CEDIA this coming year, right?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you there. And Jack, I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to chat with me.
Me too.
All right, enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. I'm glad to hear they'll be at CEDIA. This is, I think we talked a little bit about them last week, and like I said then, this is one of those brands I'm very jealous that the European market gets to have, and we don't.
yeah, they really had a nice stand, and I was excited to hear. Excuse me, Seth. I was excited to hear as well that they're going to be coming to CEDIA next year. I think that'll be interesting to see.
Yep. Well, we've got a couple more clips here. Let's jump into this one real quick from Raphael with Neo.
All right, I'm joined by Raphael over at the Neo booth. How's it going?
Very, very, very good. Thank you. It's a very busy show. Like the busiest show I've ever seen.
Yeah. It is a massive show, and you guys have been very consistently busy over here. I've come by a number of times, and that's no surprise. So I'm happy to see all the people here checking out the remote. Give us a quick update. I got to ask the $1 million question. What's the latest on a ship date?
Yeah, so just after the show, I will travel to China. We are ramping up production there.
Okay.
It's really, really getting there. We had some challenges along the way, of course, but we really care about the quality. We wanted to get everything right. So right now the next step is really manufacturing all the units for our crowdfunding backers, then for our pre-order customers, and after that we'll go into the general availability.
Okay, so it sounds like you're right there.
It's extremely close.
Good. Well, I know our listeners will be happy to hear it, and I'm happy to hear it as well. So congratulations on
that's exciting.
On getting there, and we'll look forward to that. So, I know you and I visited at CEDIA, and I know you've been busy just kind of getting things ramped up since then, and so maybe. This particular story isn't necessarily new. I know at CEDIA you were talking about integrations with systems like Control4 and Crestron, obviously very relevant to the audience here at ISE as well as the audience of our podcast. I understand you guys are now showing those integrations at least and how they work.
We had some people in our tester groups that are actually Crestron integrator and Control4 integrators. And we got some samples from them, some codes that we are showing here, and it's been really good for other integrators to see what's possible to, as example, use Neo as a front end to an existing system that's built on Crestron or any of the other more traditional, larger home automation systems.
Yeah. Well, I'm really happy to hear that because I've said it 100 times. If I've said it once, I think it's a beautiful remote. And I think having that ability to tie that in, like you said, with an existing, maybe legacy or heavier Crestron Control4 system, I think is definitely powerful and is going to open up just one more good potential market for you guys. So congratulations on all that, and I'll let you go. I know you guys are busy here. I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to chat with me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, I cannot wait to get my hands on one of these. Very exciting. I'm glad to hear he's heading out to China.
Yeah, he swears they're getting close.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really close.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think we had him on the show, might have been even close to 2 years ago. So we've been waiting for it for a long time, and sounds like they're getting right there near the finish line. So that's really, really exciting to hear. We'll keep an eye out for that, and definitely keep our listeners updated. Let's roll into our next clip here. Chris Pinder from HD Anywhere, very active social media, friend of the show. Really enjoyed an opportunity to go chat with him. So let's roll into that clip and see what HD Anywhere is up to. I'm joined here by Chris Pinder from HD Anywhere. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing well. Really excited to be here in Amsterdam. Really great energy on the floor, and your booth here is no exception. So let's just jump right in. I know you guys are doing some interesting things, and one of the unique sort of things I've been hearing about your guys' messaging is that really these products are not just your kind of run-of-the-mill HDMI switchers, but you guys really view video switching and audio, throughout the home as really an integral part of getting people into the smart home. So tell me about that concept.
Well, we're all about growing the market and trying to get more people to have a smart home with integrated AV. And our sort of mission is to improve the in-home audiovisual experience and change the relationship that people have with AV in their home. Really that is achieved through centralized media distribution in a lot of cases, plus a control system, plus in years gone by 3 or 4 different types of systems, audio, video and control working together from a custom installer. And as these years have gone by, what we believe is we want to do all of those things from as little hardware as possible. So our latest, as you call it, HDMI switcher, we call it an M-Hub. HDMI switching is one of the functions it does, but it also incorporates an IR-based control system that lets you use our free app as a universal control for AV, specifically for AV. We're not trying to control the lighting or heating, we're just controlling the whole home AV.
Right. With the idea, of course, being that there may be homes that could benefit from having that sort of functionality that may not need a full-blown home automation system to control all of the bells and whistles, right?
Well, one of the biggest purchase drivers and decision makers is often the female in a relationship, and what we found from doing more consumer-facing homes is the thing that really appeals to them about integrated technology is the neatness, the clutter-free nature, and just you don't need that ugly TV furniture or that rat's nest of cables. That's something that appeals and has value to house-proud people.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, you guys are showing off here your new Amazon Echo integration, which is pretty cool. Give us an overview of how that works.
Well, I said earlier that our Matrix switchers incorporate an IR-based control system. That's actually similar to like a global cache IP to IR system. So we can control the sources and the screens connected to the Matrix, but we can trigger that control from Alexa. And because of the broader range of control that offers, with using Alexa in conjunction with our M-Hubs, you can say things like, Alexa, watch a specific channel, watch Fox News or watch CNN, and it will be able to switch to the right source on the Matrix, turn the display on within a macro, but also punch in the right channel to go to, all within one command.
So a voice controllable multi-room AV system, with basically a single box and not the need for an external control processor is a pretty powerful proposition.
That's it. And we're very focused on residential. A lot of HDMI brands are kind of looking at commercial solutions now that were formerly only focused on custom install in the home. Now we're seeing them doing, lots of big commercial stuff. At HC Anywhere, we're just really, really home orientated, home focused. So that's our niche.
So last question. You guys are showing off here a new line of your extenders. I'm going to post some pictures up on our website. These things are really nicely designed, as is all of your product catalog, and just remarkably thin and light. These are very cool, but I want you to talk actually about the technology that's built into the high-end one. That's the tipping point compression, which I think is really interesting. So tell us about that.
This is literally, we just announced this a couple of days ago. It uses a HD-Base-T as its base technology, and a lot of people will be familiar with what a HD-Base-T extender is.
Sure.
The problem is HD-Base-T has a threshold of around 10G, and some content we're seeing now tips over that a little bit. So up over 11, closer to 12, and theoretically, if you were playing a computer game at 60 frames per second with HDR, it could be right up at 18.
18, right.
And HD-Base-T just can't handle that. So what we've adopted is a kind of dynamic compression that only becomes active when the data rate detected tips over 10G, which isn't all the time.
Right.
So a lot of content you're watching from during the playback will not be over 10G. But as soon as within playback it rises to above 10G, it applies a very light compression algorithm just on the small percentage that's gone over to bring it back below the 10, and the result is a picture that has very, very minimal compression added to it, and therefore when we're saying visually lossless, when we're saying imperceptible, in our side-by-side testing with the human eye on two 65-inch displays, we've had, it's like a placebo, like no one has been able to detect it.
Right.
So we're really excited about being able to say you put 18 gig in and you get 18 gig out.
Yeah.
Yes, it's had some compression applied, but we're about end results and the user experience, and the experience
exactly
is the same.
Yeah.
And that's great news, because I think a lot of installers are worried that they're going to have to start running fiber cables within properties and what have you, and revisiting a lot of installations.
Whole can of worms there.
Yeah. So definitely. With this new TPC, as we call it, you can use a copper network cable infrastructure and still, integrate 18G devices.
That's great. I think that's very smart. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with me here. I'll let you get back to the booth. It's really busy, and enjoy the rest of your show.
Thanks you,
Chris.
Jason. Thank you.
That's a neat piece, using technology to solve an issue. And Jason, it's really amazing how much we're able to do with a simple category cable like Cat 5 or Cat 6. I mean, this little cable has certainly had a life, and we're putting video over it, we're putting audio over it now, we're putting 4K video over it. I just can't believe what we're able to do with this category cable.
Yeah, we've really gotten a lot of life out of that, and thought it was just interesting to see, what these guys are doing to come at the category of HDMI switching in a little bit of a different way, and creative with their voice control, and M-Hub adding an IR control system, and some of the interesting things he talked about there with the tipping point compression. So thought that was cool to learn a little about what they're doing that is unique, and in some of the ways that they can sort of maybe all of us can rethink that category.
Yep, very cool. Well, we've got 2 more clips here to cover before the end of our show. Hope everybody has made it along for the ride with us. It's a little bit longer than we thought it was going to be, but here we are.
Yeah, we've got 2 more, and these are a little bit different, not manufacturers, just sort of influential people in the industry, I would say. The first one is a great friend of the show, and everybody who listens surely is familiar with him, Chris Gamble of the live install community, and actually got a chance to meet Chris for the first time out there, and didn't get a soundbite from him in Amsterdam, but Chris was kind enough to join us actually right before we recorded this show and share a few of his thoughts about ISE. So let's jump into that clip right now. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Jason. Hi, Seth. I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Well, listen, I had a really fun time meeting you out at ISE. Really appreciated you including me along with the live install community, and I got an opportunity to come out and join you guys for some monkey nuts. That was a good time.
That was really good. It was exciting for me to meet up with you. We talked so much before the show. We got to meet at the show, on the show floor, and then meet socially at the beer and monkey nuts later.
That's right. It was a great time. So you were only there really for a couple of days, I know. So it was a quick trip for you, but give us your general feelings overall, high-level view of the show. Do you think it was a success? Maybe how would you compare it to years previous, that sort of thing?
Yeah, this year I only attended for 2 days, and I think that's credit to the show because it's on for nearly a whole week. You can go later in the week, do your work at the beginning of the week, your day job, and then properly spend some time at the show. For us this year, the show was huge success for our business. We were really efficient this year, really prepared, did some good socializing as well. So all round, very successful show for us.
Awesome. Well, I should mention as well that I got a chance to meet your wife, Anna, and that was really fun. She was a pleasure, and wish we could have spent some more time out there, but as you alluded to, very busy show, a lot of ground to cover. What were maybe 1 or 2 of the top specific products or stories or vendors that you visited out of the show?
Well, for the 2 days we were there, we did portion off a large amount of time in the smart buildings area and home automation, and specific around the KNX systems. So we got to speak to existing suppliers, new suppliers, got some really big surprises from some of the KNX vendors with the the level of integration they're now offering with IoT devices, and that was really refreshing for us to see that very robust protocol, and almost sometimes seen as a dull part of smart home. KNX can be seen as the bread and butter or the nuts and bolts of a system, but to see that framework integrating with IoT devices from the big names like Amazon, Google, or Apple was exciting for us to go back to the UK and tell our customers about it, which I already have.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I am jealous of Jason this year. Got to get out to ISE and meet you guys and have those the beer and monkey nuts, which again, jealous. Sad I missed out on that one, but maybe next year I can wander my way out to Amsterdam. What did you notice different year to year? What did you see that was different this year at ISE from previous years?
Yeah, I think for the first year, right across AV and home automation, we saw a regular brand, and that brand was Amazon Echo, and that hadn't been seen. I hadn't seen it before. That one brand, which has been embraced by multiple parts of the industry, which was a bit strange because it's also a brand that consumers recognize, and this is big discussion within the industry, this disruptive consumer aware brands merging into our world, and how do we deal with it? And quite simply, we embrace it, which is great.
Yeah, that's been a very big topic for us coming out of CEDIA the last couple of years, and so I was not surprised to see the continuation of that out at ISE. I again had a really great time, and I think we'll wrap up here, Chris. I want to get your thoughts, just as somebody who goes to ISE every year, and for me as a first-time attendee, I really thought it was a great environment and really fun to see all of the different commercial and all that technology in the same place. What would you say to somebody listening maybe over here in the States that's on the fence and thinking that ISE may be just a CEDIA repeat and they're not sure they want to go? What would you say to them?
Well, it's definitely not a repeat, because there are brands that they choose ISE as their time of year to launch. They choose ISE to provide some of the most extensive training available to the industry. The show obviously hits you from two angles with a commercial and residential areas to improve your business. It's also held in one of the coolest cities on the planet. It may be cold, but hey, there's a lot of entertainment there to keep you warm.
Very true.
Nice. Well, Chris, thanks so much for staying up late and chatting with us here on HomeTech. If people want to reach out and talk to you and get in touch with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Best way is to follow my own business on Twitter @Customized. You can find us on, even just by searching for #LiveInstall. We're active participants on that hashtag. And this week you'll see us. We've been excited to do one of our one-day live installs. We've been doing a one-day retrofit lighting system, which we're really excited about because it's putting us in the direction we want to go with more frequent and quicker installs of smart home systems.
Great. Well, once again, Chris, want to thank you for joining us, and we'll let you go and look forward to reconnecting again with you very soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good show,
All right.
guys.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Like I said during the interview, very jealous of you and Chris getting to spend some time there, along with quite a few other people. I saw some of the pictures that came back, having some of the social aspects of ISE, having a good time there. So
yeah, got to experience the monkey nuts.
Yeah,
it's legendary.
Nuts. Yep, absolutely. Well, we've got one more clip here with a friend of the show, Vin Bruno of CEDIA, and let's just go ahead and jump in.
All right, I'm joined by Vin Bruno. Vin, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me. You're my last interview here. It's appropriate. The show's winding down, and I thought this would be a great time for us to connect. How did the show treat you?
It was great. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. I'm always happy to sit and chat with you, and Nothing better, no place better than the CEDIA booth to do so.
Yeah, you got it.
Show's been fabulous. You could see that it's winding down now. It's the second year where we're, having the show be 4 days.
Right.
And as I said to our executive director, Michael Blackman, last year, on the Thursday, the third day of the show, I said, Michael, the fourth day of the show is a success. And he looked at me like I have two heads.
Right.
And I laughed. I said, no, it would have been quieter today. Instead, it's packed.
Yeah.
And so we're realizing the benefit of the people who fly their spouses in. They get more of the show in on the fourth day, and they spend the weekend here in awesome Amsterdam.
Right. And so I understand you guys had record attendance this year. Tell me about that.
Yep. I lost 10 euros.
Yeah.
I thought that, I factored in, I used percentages.
Okay.
And, I guessed around 69,000. As of yesterday, we were just shy of 72,000 in attendees. And I'm sure that with today's attendance, as is Michael Blackman, that we will get very close to 75,000 if we haven't gone over.
Gotcha.
When I get the final numbers, I'll share those.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you about the success of this show and how it keeps on growing. Last year, we sold out the show and we had a waiting list. So it's become aspirational. And that was 42,000 square meters.
Yep.
Okay, at Rebook last year, we sold more than 100%, in that we rebooked at 45,000 square meters. But we knew we could accommodate it because we had a new structure being completed for this year.
Right.
Well, guess what? We sold over 47,000 square meters, and that necessitated us to build a tent and house exhibitors in there.
Wow.
So right now, rebooking is still taking place. It started yesterday, and I'm very sure that we will break through 50,000 square meters. That will be necessary. And the way we're going to address that is with a tent out in the parking lot, front parking lot. They will be happy because every single one of these 75,000 plus people have to walk through that tent to get in here.
Yeah, and these tents are nice. You don't feel like you're in a tent, right?
No.
When you're inside there, they're very nice, and so congratulations on that, on the continued success of this show. This is really exciting. It's my first time here, as you and I discussed, and I really had a great time attending the show. It's very immense in scale, and a lot of that, of course, has to do with the fact that it's a sort of a combined show, commercial and residential, versus what we have back in the States, which is exclusively residential. Talk about that dynamic, and what relevance do you think that has to the success of Infocom, and like if how that works in the States? How better maybe having two separate shows?
Sure. I mean, I learned at one point in my career when I started traveling globally that only in the United States is there are distinct residential technology integrators and distinct commercial technology integrators, whereas in the rest of the world, that there are that our technology integrators do both commercial and residential work.
Right. So that's kind of a reflection of the market realities in other parts of the world, and having a combined show here makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know for you, education is always a big thing at these trade shows, and how did that go this year at ISE?
Well, it was fabulous. So, I am the chairman of Integrated Systems Events.
Yep.
And we have Integrated Systems Europe, we have Integrated Systems Russia, we have 5 digital signage events. So when we have an Integrated Systems Events Managers meeting, which we had last year in Germany, we're headquartered in Munich, we came to the decision that we would take the Infocom and CEDIA marketing and education teams and the Integrated Systems marketing team, and we put them together in one place in London, and out of that came great decisions which yielded in more than double the number of people that registered for education.
Oh, that's great.
So that's our focus at CEDIA. We want to deliver the best technology integrators. We want to give them the best practices. We want to teach them the most about the profit opportunities that they have. And check out Integrated Systems 2018. Check out CEDIA 2017 in San Diego.
Yep.
our show in Dallas at CEDIA, we had over 6,700 people that we trained at that show. And we're going to keep pushing those numbers because I think we got to be up around 10,000.
Yeah. That's great. Well, last question here. Like I said, this is my first time out, and I really hope now to make this an annual thing for me. I really enjoyed it. What call to action would you put out there to our listeners back in the States, maybe who haven't attended ISE before?
Well, get on the Integrated Systems website. Follow them on social media. We're going to keep on posting the information that's necessary, and and stay in touch with us at cedia.org. Yep. And we'll continue feeding you what you need to know.
All right. Well, thanks again, Vin, for taking a few minutes, and wish you safe travels heading back home.
And I wish you safe travels. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Very nice, Jason. That was
there you have it.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I'm glad you got a chance to sit down and talk with Vin. He's a good guy and friend of the show. And he definitely has, that was a definitely interesting insight where, he talks about installers here in the States. We're definitely divided. We do commercial or we do residential, and not many people do both. Like, you might dabble in light commercial and boardrooms and that kind of thing. But overseas, I definitely see this following the hashtag live install on Twitter. Like, I'll see a company send some pictures out about a theater they're doing, and then the next thing I see they're doing some electrical work in a commercial building. So that's very interesting. I didn't really put those two things together until he said that.
Right. Yeah, and I just thought that it was my very last interview that I did out there at ISE, so I thought this was a great place to wind down our special. As you alluded to, Seth, this turned into a bit of a longer episode than we thought, but we covered a lot of ground, and for those of you still listening, we really appreciate you tuning in. Had a lot of fun covering the show, and like we said, we're going to put out a whole bunch of other sound bites that I got out there into a bonus episode that you can keep an eye out for, maybe like middle or early next week.
Yeah, let's hope so. We'll see it middle, early next week. We had a lot of fun tonight, and especially talking over in our Slack channel / IRC channel, which I'm really glad everybody that has been on the live show has been able to kind of drop into the chat and chat with us while we're chatting. I guess is that how it works? I'm really
chatting.
Yeah, it's really helpful and really keeps our spirits going. So I'm glad everybody kind of dropped in. And has been participating in the chats. It's been a lot of fun doing that. Also want to kind of plug our Patreon support. Thank everybody that is doing the Patreon thing over at HomeTech.fm/support. You can see how you can support the show a little bit financially if you want, and there's also links in ways to support it other ways, like dropping iTunes reviews and that kind of thing. Really does help people find the show and help spread the news. So
absolutely.
With that, Jason, I guess we'll put a bow on this one, and
let's wind it down. Yeah, and Seth, I just want to echo what you said and thank our patrons and everybody who's participated over in our live chat channel. We really enjoy that. And Seth, thank you for all your work helping to get all these audio clips assembled and ready for the show. And I'll look forward to sitting down again with you next week and getting back to business as usual.
Sounds good, man. I'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.